Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a Twin Soul Channel and Western astrologer. And this video is about the new moon in Virgo occurring on September 6, 2021 at 8:08 p.m. if you happen to live on the eastern seaboard of the United States. If you're not, please check a time zone converter for your local time. This will be the new moon update for the Lightworker Collective. I wanted to start by highlighting the new moon's positioning right here at 14 degrees of Virgo. And there are some very interesting aspects to this new moon. But first, it's really important to understand the nature of the mutable sign Virgo. Virgoan energy as a mutable sign is an energy that is interested in change and growth and service, and in being in service to something higher than ourselves, a passion, a vision, a picture, a commitment to something higher than ourselves, and really putting ourselves, our whole self, and dedicating our whole self to that picture and that manifestation. Virgoan energy also really governs health and well-being. In addition to being that sixth sign of the zodiac, it does speak quite a bit to things that have power over us, meaning the power, person, place, or thing that we are in service to. So it's important to understand that as we get into the aspects that this new moon is making, because there are some wily energies, if I could use that word, little squirrely here. I don't know, and there's some great opportunities to use this in the light, but there's also a lot of shadow energy here as well, unfortunately. So I have said this all along. I will say it again. We all get free will and how to use the energies. And I trust that those of us who are here are really dedicated to love and dedicated to the higher usage of the energies in a way that we can really be of assistance to others at this time who may be struggling with the shadow usage of this energy. So we have this new moon in Virgo, and it's opposing the planetary energy of Neptune. It is in a trine or harmonious 120-degree angle to planetary energy Uranus, and it is squaring planetary energy Juno here. When you put all of these together, you've got this energy of kind of, it's like super psychic ability and manifestation surprises on overdrive, specifically in the arena of relationship and partnership, especially now with Juno direct having completed her retrograde process. There's also an energy here of ample creativity, creative capacity coming to light. It's a great new moon for those who are psychically gifted to get a lot of downloads and insights about things that may be coming through for the collective or in your own life or people that you serve. It's also a fantastic new moon for artists and of any genre, visual arts, musical arts, entertainment arts. This is a fantastic new moon for your own creativity. You may get a lot of ideas at this time that it then becomes necessary to implement at later dates. So make sure, especially during the dream state, you are keeping a notebook nearby. You're keeping a way to capture the ideas that come through nearby. This energy can be used in that way. And there's also an energy here of movement, of house. There or home. You may find that during this period of time, you are called to relocate. And because of the aspects here with Neptune and Uranus, this could have, and you could be called to relocate because of water related issues. That's Neptune, or electrical related issues. That's Uranus. I don't want to kind of call those things into existence if we don't have to, but if that's here, just know that it is divinely on the kind of universal schedule for many people to relocate at this time. And this energy is also an energy of quite a bit of, I would say, maybe surprise as I'm looking at it, a bit of surprise in the physical realm, things kind of just not appearing where you thought they were, or appearing in ways that you thought they were. In the shadow energy of this, there can be quite a bit of illusion, deception, emotional manipulation. And it doesn't even have to be by another person. With Neptune opposing this new moon, especially for any of the mutable signs, sun, moon, or rising, that's Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, and Sagittarius. Unfortunately, this energy can really activate, also with Mars opposite Neptune, and we'll talk about that in a moment. This energy can really activate addictive tendencies, fear running wild, running rampant. It can activate emotional overload and overflow at this time. And so, as much as I hate to say it, I hate to see it. It's going to be a really important time to not let your emotions run wild. And if they are running wild, take this as an opportunity to dig into what the feelings are showing you, dig into their messages, dig into where are they coming from. There is no feeling without an initial thinking pattern or thought pattern that precedes it. And so, while it would be very natural during this particular period of time to kind of get carried away on a string of emotion and give in to some of our fears or addictive tendencies and behaviors, on the flip side, there's also an opportunity here to better understand the nature of our triggers, to understand the root of our, kind of those things that push us to, overreact or react overly emotionally and lash out at other people. There's an opportunity here to deeply understand, okay, I know I have this addictive problem. What are the emotional things that happen before I reach for that addiction? Going on that sex binge, drinking binge, working binge, sleeping binge, Netflixing binge. What are the emotional triggers that cause me to kind of wander down that path? And what was the thinking that preceded those triggers that then allowed me to go in that direction? It's a great opportunity to self-examine and really understand the mechanisms of our subconscious mind with these aspects here. Now, I did mention that there can be some relationship problems. Yeah, okay, let's just get into it. Let me not bemoan it. I really just need to do this. So, here we are with Juno in the mix here. Thankfully, Juno is direct in the retrograde function. We can get just a little bit more shadow from her than light. But because she is direct, we have the opportunity to get just a little more light. She is square this particular full moon. This full moon is full of like psychic intuitions and simultaneously insights. But because there is this propensity for emotions to run rampant, discernment, which is one of Virgo's gifts, is a key feature of this. It's going to be important to plug into your discernment to get clarity for yourself in your relationships. Am I reacting out of fear or intuition? And how do I know the difference? Is my intuition trying to tell me something, or am I just having a fear response from my reptilian brain, kind of based on repetitive built up experiences from the past that are unresolved and still a trigger point for me? So, yeah, it's funny to have to report on this. I don't know why this happens. Like, I always find myself in these circumstances where my neighbors end up like fighting, and I'm like, oh God, do I call the police or what? And this was the circumstance, just less than 24 hours ago, where I could hear through the walls. I was this fight going down between with this couple, and the woman in the couple was just raging on the guy who was like trying to kind of diffuse and de-escalate the situation. And this just went on for hours. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening with this new moon? Normally in a domestic dispute, you kind of, when bodies are hitting the floor, you hear like incoherent screaming from a female, she may be really at risk of being battered. But in this circumstance, it was definitely the other way around. There weren't any bodies or slapping going on, but there was definitely a lot of verbal violence. And it was just, this is the kind of circumstance that this new moon configuration can lend itself to, emotional reactions, fears running wild, conversation at a minimum, but emotions at a maximum, and then just reacting, snap fuse reacting. And it's not to say, that maybe he wasn't in the wrong for what have you, but when there's uncivil conversation going on to the degree that it is disturbing your neighbors, there is like this kind of like, okay, can you guys just bring it down a notch, like step away from one another until you can examine the triggers honestly within yourself before trying to solve it with someone else? That's really kind of the key and the trick here, is to step away if you see this energy rising within yourself or within family and friends that are open to receiving guidance. Not everyone is. If you can give them the guidance to why don't you just take a break for the rest of the week, put this on a moratorium, give it a week to digest what's going on, and then come back and talk about whatever the problem was. So yeah, that's kind of the circumstance, some of it with this new moon. A lot of power struggle energy, that's amplified by other aspects, which we are going to talk about in a moment here, and a lot of like big burst of creative energy and psychic energy going on as well. And we'll talk about that right after this. Let's see if YouTube would be, the algorithm wants to show a commercial break. If you're willing to watch, that is awesome. And before we get into it, I just want to say that the September calendar is open very normally. In my calendar, there is a long wait, a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks before we can have a conversation. However, due to a combination of circumstances, both the launch of Q&A with Kay and the time off that I took at the last lunation, there's far more availability. So if this stuff is really coming up for you right now, there is space in my calendar for us to speak as early as next week, which is rare. So if you're feeling, urgently in need of support and clarity, jump on over to kmoonastro.com. This is a great time for us to connect and make sense of some of your psychic impressions and ground them into what's happening astrologically and how to use these things in your life. I'll be right back after this. Great. Thank you so much for your patience. Okay, so let's get into these other aspects. I love and hate Pluto and Mars having a harmonious conversation together. This is certainly a kind of On the one hand, a real amplification of our internal power, will, motivation to just make stuff happen. So if there are those of you who, were hoping to kind of take a nice long cozy weekend, relax, curl up, you may find that at this time, and as we get into the following week, you may have found that your energy is just restless. Like your creative thoughts and things that you want to manifest just they're not leaving you alone. And you just kind of get on one of those creative jags or tears where you suddenly feel like with this combination, gotta be in service, gotta move, gotta relocate, gotta clean out the closets, gotta, clean my home top to bottom, gotta reorganize, that kind of thing. Need to just, make space, detox, purge in the physical world, clean out those closets, like I said. So if that's, an energy that you're feeling, just know that it's here in the sky and take advantage of it as much as possible. That's the aspect of this that I love, is that it brings forth a lot of motivation. In the shadow, though, Virgo, things that have power over us, which is where Mars sits, and Mars is motivation. Pluto, the occult practices in the physical realm and bringing structure to those practices in Capricorn. This can be an energy that can really be activating, especially because it's a new moon, to people who like to work dark energy, or manipulation and control energy to usurp other people's free will. And I'm specifically talking about people who want to do manifestation, ritual, and candle work, etc., to make other people do X, Y, or Z in accordance with their own free will, instead of letting other people operate their free will. So there's a fine line there's actually not a fine line. There's a very thick line between manipulation and manifestation. And for those of us who really say that we believe in love and we believe in light, it is very important to make sure that we stand for love and not try to usurp other people's free will with this energy, to the best that we are able, and just encourage those around us to take the same high road. That if, especially with this kind of this Neptune and Juno and Uranus energy with this new moon, I can see a lot of people wanting to use this energy for like just straight up, let me make a person do a thing that they're not doing so that I can feel good in my life. Unfortunately, I can see down the road here, especially as Mercury is about to go retrograde in Libra, and then in December when Venus goes retrograde in Capricorn, there can be some really harsh repercussions for trying to bind another person's free will. At this time, trying to bind at this time can have repercussions at those times during those retrograde seasons. You can find someone else trying to bind your free will, and or you can get kind of boomerang energy with spell work at this time. So just thought I would put that out there, that it's just really important to let people honor their path and whatever they're called to do. And if we don't feel great about what they are doing, to give ourselves the permission to do the healing work, the hard work of our own psychological development, understand why them not doing what we want bothers us, instead of trying to force, cajole, coerce by magic somebody else to do what we want. It never works to bind another person's free will over the long term. So just keep that in mind. With that energy in the light, it's incredibly productive for things we know we need to create in our own lives, and not trying to invoke reactions from other people in their lives. All right. So we also have and the only reason I really bring that up, because typically Mars, Pluto on their own don't really lend themselves to that. But I bring that up because of the Juno aspect to this new moon in the square. There can be a manipulation and relationship component there. In addition to that, we have Venus, representative around love and money, and a square to Pluto here as well. Pluto, again, representing kind of the mystic arts and the occult, metaphysics, that kind of thing. So if you are aware that people have kind of done that kind of stuff to you before, this is a fantastic time to ground, clear, and protect your energy in whatever way that you deem fit. Get a blessing, specifically from whoever the head of your church is, if you're religious, prayer and protection from them. And or if you are more spiritual, think about getting spirit release therapy, that kind of thing. That would go really well not at this time, give it a week. And in 1 week's time, go ahead, and if anyone was trying to, work some crazy on you, get that stuff broken and removed. Okay. And also for your relationships, get your relationships cleared as well. Specifically because Venus here is also talking to Vesta. She's all about dedication, and she's talking to creation goddess, which is all about manifestation. More immature energies can try to use this to manipulate others' free will. So we always want to let people have their free will. So other energies going on here that is interesting. I'm actually really digging this one. Chiron and Mercury in opposition, and then Saturn in sextile to Chiron and in trine to Mercury. I actually really like this one. Most people don't love Saturn and Chiron, but I think that the ways that Saturn really does work around restoring the integrity and the wholeness to a person, and brings wholeness and integrity by removing anything that is compromising to our integrity and compromising to our wholeness. When Saturn does that, especially with Mercury, who is direct at this time, this is a real opportunity to do mental cleanup, specifically, and to take a look at our mental frameworks as they pertain to other people, because both Libra and Aquarius deal with other people. Aquarius groups, and Libra one-to-one partnerships, romantic and business. This is an opportunity for us to really better understand the Chiron aspects, meaning our wounds that have informed the way that we are choosing to show up with people. And so we can get a really good opportunity to see our own mirrors, like, oh, wow, yeah, like I really did go on that little bender with my addiction because I was anxious or afraid or triggered or what have you. And to really start to understand the roots of our triggers in a more holistic way with this combination here, we get a wonderful opportunity to see in ourselves our own blind spots with this energy, so that we have the opportunity to start to clean them up and come back to our own wholeness. So I actually really love this, although it can be a period of time where in the shadow we can feel a lot less confident about our self-expression. We can run into feeling very much not enough. We can feel very much not good enough. We can have a lot of those storylines running rampant. Not good enough. So-and-so deserves better. I should remove myself. Woe is me. I'm such a schmuck. Like, we can really go down that rabbit hole when Mercury and Chiron are opposite or square in this way. But the Saturnian influence on both of them pulls us up short and is like, wait a minute. Is this thought useful? Is this thought even true? Is this even something that other people have said to us? Or are we just kind of riding away on our own little shame boat here off of made up stories from unresolved pain in our past. So, with Chiron retrograde, we get a look at that past stuff and the way that it is influencing our thinking in the moment in relationships and in groups that we belong to. So, again, a wonderful opportunity to utilize this new moon to say, I see I'm really triggered. Let me take a step back. Let me self examine. Let me not react. Let me instead reflect. So, beautiful energy all the way around when used in the light. It's a powerful new moon for self growth, self reflection, and getting into service to, our own higher powers and what it is we say we value, that we want to, dedicate our lives to and make our lives a reflection of. As you guys know, for me, that's love. And love comes with, freedom. It comes with truth. It comes with honesty, etc. So, enjoy the new moon energies. They're certainly entertaining. that's the best way I can put this. They are going to be entertaining and enlightening if we can give ourselves the opportunity to not take ourselves so seriously, and instead give ourselves the chance to really lean into our psychic insights and reflect on the things that we're getting, to make sure that we are not reacting, but instead reflecting at this time and making new choices to become embodiments of our highest values. So thank you so much for liking, watching, subscribing, and sharing. I love that you guys have been sharing the channel with each other and others. I am here on the new and full moons. I like to say every, but last full moon, I definitely needed a break. So you are going to get the opportunity to hear from me at the next full moon in Pisces, where we'll have a chance to meet and chat about it all over again. Calendar is open. If you want to talk to me this month in September, by all means, definitely book now. Thanks so much. Take great care.